Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is the King's Daughters, or Filles du Roi, who were approximately 800 young French women who immigrated to New France between 1663 and 1673 as part of a program sponsored by King Louis XIV. The program was designed to boost New France's population, both by encouraging Frenchmen to move to the New World, but also by promoting marriage, family formation, and the birth of French children in the colony. Let's learn more about them. The term Filles du Roi refers to those women and girls who were recruited by the government and whose travel to the colony was paid for by the king. They were also occasionally known as the king's wards. Now, I've been told that one of my ancestors, Marie Pomponel, was one of these women, but after more research, I found out that she was actually a Filles de Mairie, which is slightly different. But while doing the research, I became fascinated by the king's daughters. They each have a very interesting story, and I one day plan on writing Marie's story. At its start, New France was populated mostly by men, soldiers, fur traders, and missionary priests. Settlers began to develop farms, but by the mid-17th century, there was a severe imbalance between single men and women in New France. The small number of female immigrants had to pay their own passage, and few single women wanted to leave home to settle in the harsh climate and conditions of New France. Officials noted the population growth of the English colonies, which had more families, and they worried about France's ability to maintain its territorial claims in the New World. To help the French population grow, the Intendant of New France, Jean Talon, proposed that the king sponsor passage of at least 500 women. The king agreed, and eventually, nearly twice that number were recruited. Most of these women were between the ages of 12 and 25, and many had to supply a letter of reference from their parish priest before they would be chosen for immigration to New France. They intended to marry men in the colony in order to establish families and more farms. Most of the women recruited were commoners of humble birth. As a Filles du Roi, a woman received the king's support in several ways. The king paid 100 livres to the French East India Company for each woman's crossing, as well as furnishing her trousseau. Most came from urban areas, and many were orphans who were fairly uneducated. From a social standpoint, the young women came from different backgrounds, but all were quite poor. Some were from an elite family that had lost its fortune, or from a large family with children to spare. A few women came from other European countries as well, including Germany, England, and Portugal. Those chosen to be among the Filles du Roi and were allowed to immigrate to New France were held to high standards, which were based on their moral caliber and whether they were physically fit enough to survive all the hard work that was demanded by life as a colonist in New France. The colonial officials sent several of the women back to France because they were considered below the standards set. The women arrived in Quebec City, Trois-Rivières, and Montreal. Once in the New World, their time to find husbands varied greatly. For some, it was as short as a few months, while others took 2 or 3 years before finding an appropriate husband. An early problem in recruitment was the women's adjustment to the new agricultural life. The Filles du Roi were mostly town girls, and only a few knew how to do manual farm work. This problem remained, but in later years, more rural girls were recruited. In 1670, most of the girls who had arrived the previous year were already married and pregnant, and by 1671, a total of nearly 700 children were born to the Filles du Roi. By the end of 1671, Talon suggested that it would not be necessary to sponsor the passage of girls for the next year, and the king accepted his advice. The migration briefly resumed in 1673 when the king sent 60 more girls at the request of Bade de Frontenac, the new governor, but that was the last under the crown's sponsorship. Of the approximately 835 marriages of immigrants in the colony during this period, 774 included a Filles du Roi. By 1672, the population of New France had increased to 6,700 from 3,200 in 1663. The program had been a success. These young women braved many dangers to come to the New World and help the colony grow. As I said, I hope one day to write the story of these women. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Filles du Roi, or if you'd like more information about the Filles à Mourir. As always, I hope you subscribe to my channel, like the video, and ring that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.